Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Success Insight podcast. Our guest today is Andrée Martin, and Andrée is back with us for another episode of Mindset Monday. And really, just another lively conversation, I'm sure. And because, Andrée's insights as not only a leadership mindset and golf performance coach, but she is also really an accomplished, business coach, leadership coach in her own right. And combining that with her experience over the years of really being one of the top 50 golf teachers and experts. She's an LPGA Class A life member and really has made her living working with, the novice all the way up to the C-level executive and beyond to really help hone their mindset and their abilities on the golf course, and really to help translate that back into the organization and boardroom. So recognizing golf's value as a business tool in today's competitive marketplace, Andrée works with those individuals, groups, corporate or organizational clients to create educational and team building programs that enhance the professional success of aspiring executives. So Andrée, as usual, welcome back to another episode of Mindset Monday on the Success Insight podcast.
Always a pleasure to be back with you, Howard, and excited to deliver another Mindset Monday episode.
Andrée, I'm sure you're thinking as I was reading this introduction, Howard, you're going off script, but Andrée, I kept it together. You
did great.
I was thinking to myself, what am I doing? I'm going off script. I cannot believe now we're like third week in June right now. And it's just like,
crazy.
Oh my God, the weather and
heat of the summer.
Fantastic. So what's in store for us today?
Well, today is all about the 5 keys you need to achieve and sustain peak performance. So you've already got that key. You kept it going throughout that whole introduction. You focused on that strength of being able to just work off the cuff and keep on going. So that's a great start. You want to keep improving and moving forward.
Well, I was actually thinking about, as I was reading this introduction, you've shared stories before about, practicing difficult scenarios, like you're in the weeds or
Yes.
you have to hit the ball and wrap it around this massive tree that's in your way. And as I was reading this, I'm thinking, okay, how do I get out of this little trap that I found myself in because I went off script, but then, brought it to a close to be able to introduce you. And, that's part of what we have to work through every day.
Absolutely. It's all about being real too, right?
Yeah.
And not every day is a smooth ride. Yeah, you get in a hazard, you gotta figure out how to knock it out from beside the tree. There's all kinds of things that come our way, but that's why we also in business have and golf have modules like the DISC, because then we learn, okay, given our tendencies, how do we best get ourselves out of a certain situation, right? Why do certain players focus on one aspect of the game over the other? You got Tiger, just didn't worry so much about the bunkers, knew that was a weakness and focused on everything else. DeChambeau, long drive, long on everything. That's the focus. Everything, and you just keep building on those strengths and the weaknesses too. But it's taking a look at everything at once and saying, okay, how do I set my pace and my time given what I've got at hand? And, I wanted to touch today because on the tour as well as in business, and given the crazy year we've just had, you've got multi-generations in business getting back into business and working together. And I find good peak performance and leadership comes from the ability to get everybody working together and capitalizing on the strengths that each player brings to the table.
What I find interesting, and I wonder how it is out on the course, is inside business, there's multiple generations. There's the baby boomers, of which, believe it or not, I am the tail end of the baby boomer generation. I made that moniker by 2 years. So we had baby boomers, I think Gen X, Gen Y. Then you had the millennials, and now there's actually another generation past the millennials. And one of the common themes across all the generations is communication and the why. Here's why. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it.
And that actually takes us into number 2, which is having a will over skill mindset. Everybody brings certain sets of skills to the table. Now, with this great communication, how can we enhance that? And the will and desire to work together strengthens the team.
Well, I'm curious. You mentioned one of the newer golfers out on the course, DeChambeau. Who is he surrounding himself with as a part of his team to help him achieve his peak performance?
Well, it's not just him. You look at Rory, you look at all the top players, they've got a full team now. It's not just about having a swing coach.
Well, yeah, they've got the various pieces of the whole coaching process. But I was thinking more about age and communication.
Sure.
What was the Legend of Bagger Vance?
Mm-hmm.
That movie, and I forget who.
Will Smith was the big star.
Will Smith was the coach.
Yep.
But whoever the golfer was, but you had an age dynamic there. So what's that play out on the golf course in the instruction and the coaching?
What I find is beautiful today is there is a respect there between coach and student, just like there's a newfound respect for all the generations in the workforce. And it's all about being on purpose and knowing that there are multiple needs for success. Now, golf's become a full-out business. It's not just about going and playing around a golf and loving it and getting paid to do it. You've got nutritional coaches now. You've got mindset coaches. You've got strengthening coaches. You've got short game in addition to full swing coaches. You've got a whole team that's wrapped around this athlete that is moving forward to succeed beyond everybody else. And it's tenths of a stroke difference, just like it's hundredths of a second difference in your Olympians that are going for the gold. And even in business today, what distinguishes you from the rest? How are you separating out your brand? And what does get you moving forward? Yes, purposeful practice makes for success when it's dialed in, but it's how you're dialing in. How are you paying attention to all of your strengths? You and I were talking earlier about the Gallup Clifton Strength Finder. It's okay. So where are they, and how do you funnel into those strengths to deliver the best possible performance and sustain it over time?
Well, yeah, and with Clifton Strengths, in those was 34 different strengths, and so much in the business there used to be a focus on deficit. You need to get better at this. You need to get better at that. And so Clifton and the folks from Gallup, they kind of turned that around and say, no, focus on your strengths.
Right.
Because if you do that, then then that parlays into doing the work that you have a gift for, that you're passionate about.
Right.
Rather than something that, yes, you need to maybe put food on the table, put a roof over yours, perhaps your family's head. But if you focus on your strengths, therein lies your opportunity to have a really successful career and continue to have balance in your life and happiness.
And that actually enhances the will over skill piece, because you think about Michael Jordan, Tom Brady. They didn't play college as strongly, but in the pros, their will and desire to strive and drive is what did it. all your top players, it doesn't matter. All the way into today, even more so. They're just that much more detailed at the data than they used to be, right? And taking that data, okay, where are your strengths? And that's why we have, again, the DISC does that too. How does this person learn versus another? And how do you dive into that to help them motivate themselves and support that learning to peak performance?
Of course.
And the number 3 is always treat practice like a game. That's key in business too. There's no time to slack. You want to, in a team atmosphere, you want to get the coaches to notice that you want to play in the game. Okay. In a single-minded sport or an entrepreneurial business, how are you striving to, again, put your brand on top? And every day you got to play like you're going to win. And then with that comes training the mind. And that's why I've become a master NLP coach, because I've seen too many people with the yips, and it's like, come on. But it's about taking those negative emotions and beliefs and patterns and get rid of them versus saying, oh, I'm a mess. Well, fine, you're a mess. What are you going to do about it? Let's do something about it so you can perform at your best.
I have had many instances over the past year as I've been more and more involved with career development inside of an organization. And one thing that has struck me, and I know I've had this myself, where I had a negative mindset. And I would unconsciously say, Howard, you're such an idiot, as I was doing this testing.
Right.
And I remember one of the managers on our client side said, Howard, did you know you say that a lot? And I was like, I knew I was saying it. I thought I'm just making a joke. But today I have colleagues or clients who are saying, I'm not good at this, or I've never done this before and I'm not good at it. I don't know if I can do it. And I heard this phrase a couple of years ago, what you think about, you bring about, and it's NLP.
Exactly.
And I said, look, we're going to work together, assuming you still want me to be your coach. Would still like to work with you and you be my client. But I want you to take something out of your vocabulary, whether it's the word can't or I'm not good enough. Take that out, because if it's in your vocabulary, it's going to fuel that negative mindset.
I'd like to share something for the audience to keep in mind. For what purpose is that serving you?
Right.
How is that really helping you? And what would you want instead? Right? And so with that, from a sports perspective, well, actually, no, business and sports. Nutrition's a big piece because it feeds the brain and it fires those neurons. So how you're eating and in the pattern of eating has a big to do with your overall performance enhancement and getting yourself to a peak. Practice and prepare, and keep amping up that desire. The 5th one is turn negatives into positives. That adds to exactly the conversation we're having. What your mind perceives and believes, it achieves. So what are you feeding yourself? What are you saying to yourself? And how is that serving you?
Do you recall every once in a while on Facebook, there's a meme that it gets shared about the 2 wolves? Does that ring a bell? Where which wolf do you feed?
Which wolf do you feed? Yeah. That and the pink elephant, right?
Okay.
Which wolf do you feed? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, there's another. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I know you and I have talked about the pink elephant before, but folks, it's so valid, because if I sat here and told you, don't think about a pink elephant, don't think about a pink elephant, what do you see in your head? You can't help but not, right? You cannot not. So therefore, there's no negatives. You've got, okay, where's your focus? So there's a study, and I had forgotten all about this story. And as I was preparing for this, I actually taught it in my intuition class. And it was proven. Successful people, why is it they can, you know how you're driving down the street and you see this gorgeous car and you think, oh, I don't deserve this, or why can't I have this, or how come they have it and I don't, right? And it's actually been proven how that is acquired is because they've got their focus in detail on what they want. It's just like visualization in golf, preparing for your shot. It's how you're setting yourself up for that success and nailing that bullseye. When you stay focused, it's 16 seconds. And in that 16 seconds, you're focused on, okay, I'm going to use a car, getting a new car, manifesting a new car right now, right? All right, so what color is it? What do the wheels look like? What does the interior look like? What is the threading on the seats? Is it leather? Is it a certain fancy material that just fits you? What does the inner console look like? What's the color? What is the roof? Is it a sunroof or not? Or is it a convertible? What is your back and front end, the design, and to the exact model? But here's the big key. You got to put yourself in that picture. I tell that to my golfers all the time. When you're getting ready to hit a shot and you're back there visualizing yourself making that shot, you got to be in it. When you're not in it, you can't manifest it.
I love that. I've not really heard it that way. I like that.
Yeah.
So it's not enough to just visualize the shot, but you got to visualize yourself taking the shot.
And what you look like doing it. And you're looking so good. You're looking so good in that car. You're sitting behind the wheel and you're nodding at somebody, admiring that car and saying, yeah, that's right. I did this. I got this and I deserve it.
I love it.
Just like hitting that shot. It's like, oh, how great it feels when you pull it off and how it just, the energy just goes through your body and it's like, whew, I'm in the zone. It's got that rush, that spring off the club face. And I guarantee you, that's the feeling Steve Jobs had anytime he stood up in front of that audience on stage. So those are really big keys to achieve and sustain peak performance, Howard.
I love it. Thank you so much, Andrée.
My pleasure.
And before we head out, once again, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and your work, where's the best places for them to go?
Sure. It's AndreeGolf.com. That's Andrée with 2 E's. I'm also on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram.
Fantastic. Well, we most
happy
definitely,
to help.
Yes. We're going to most definitely provide the backlinks to all of the social sites as well as to your website, AndreeGolf.com. Okay, folks, we've just had another fantastic episode with our leadership mindset and golf performance coach, Andrée Martin, and we talked about the 5 keys you need to achieve and sustain peak performance. If you enjoyed today's episode, do let us know whether you found us on our website, successinsightpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on LinkedIn, on our Success Insight Podcast pages. You may even have found us via this Andrée sharing this episode. We'd still love to hear what your thoughts were and hear any comments that you have. And you can also find us on the major podcasting platforms: Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. And of course, on Spotify, we have assembled all of Andrée's Mindset Monday episodes into one playlist, and we will most certainly provide a link to the playlist on our show notes as well. And we're also on Pandora and iHeartRadio, and you can also find us on YouTube. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day, and we will see you on the next episode of the Success Insight Podcast. Take care now.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.